Thomas Webb is a recent college dropout trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life. He has a one-sided crush on his friend Mimi. Thomas meets his new neighbor WF, with whom he connects. As he spends time with him, he gets life advice. When Thomas and Mimi socialize in a bar, he sees his publisher father Ethan kissing a woman named Joanna. Thomas starts to follow Joanna, fearing the affair would damage his mentally unstable mother Judith. He confronts her and is surprised to learn she knows who he is. Joanna reveals she is an editor working with his father and recognizes Thomas from pictures in Ethan's office. He pleads with her to leave his married father alone. Joanna tells Thomas that he is still a child who doesn't know anything and, in fact, he actually wants to sleep with her too. He repeats the confrontation to WF, then reluctantly admits he is attracted to her. At a friend's party, Thomas bumps into Joanna with yet another man. He calls her a hooker, but she explains her date is gay. He impulsively kisses her. An affair starts, and Thomas begins to fall for Joanna. He tells her that he has aspired to be a writer since childhood, but Ethan said to him that his essays were only serviceable. In WF's absence, Thomas finds in his apartment a manuscript titled, The Only Living Boy in New York. WF is a successful reclusive writer. Thomas has inspired him to write again. He shows him his essays, and WF tells him he has talent. Thomas invites WF to a party at his father's company. He also takes Mimi to the party, and she surprisingly shows feelings toward him. She asks him if he is having an affair with Joanna, which he denies. When Thomas sees WF at the party, he tries to introduce him to his mother, but WF suddenly disappears. WF meets Joanna on the roof and warns her not to hurt Thomas. Ethan proposes marriage to Joanna, so she ends her relationship with Thomas. Angry, he confronts his father and discloses he has also been sleeping with Joanna. Ethan angrily leaves the room while Joanna tearfully tells Thomas she is in love with Ethan. She tells Thomas he really doesn't know very much. She shows him a news clipping/photograph that Ethan keeps in his office of a younger Thomas winning a tennis match, with WF standing in the crowd. Thomas confronts WF, who explains that he was a close friend of his parents. As Ethan is infertile, WF fathered a child with Judith, making him Thomas's biological father. WF realized that he was in love with Judith but stayed away. She realized she loved him too, and his leaving led to her years of depression. WF has watched Thomas from afar, hoping to connect with his son, which he now has. Returning to his parents' home, Thomas finds that Ethan has disclosed his affair to Judith and wants a divorce. He tells his mother that he's been in contact with WF, and knows she has always been in love with him. 1 year later, Thomas is working in a bookstore while trying to get his writing published. Ethan comes in, and they catch up. He offers to help Thomas using his publishing connections, which he declines. Thomas asks if Ethan is still in contact with Joanna, and he says no, then admits he's lying. Thomas finds Judith listening while WF reads from his new book The Only Living Boy in New York. Thomas watches them and smiles as his mother has finally found happiness.